Back in our second intermission, it'll be the Saturday headlines with Elliotte. By way of introducing Elliotte, the four Nations Faceoff roster reveals are coming up this Wednesday. Sweden, Finland in the afternoon, and then North America on Scotiabank Wednesday night hockey. And that leads us to topic number one, Elliotte.
Yes, Joey Daccord. It's been kind of a fascinating story. Daccord, the U.S.-born goalie of the Seattle Kraken with a Canadian father and a Swiss mother, and what his situation would be and who he could play for. Well, there is some clarity now. Daccord cannot be selected by Canada this week because he does not have a Canadian passport. He does have Canadian citizenship and proof of it, but not a passport. And when it was all created, the passport was the thing. Now, adding to this is that if one of the Canadian goaltenders that is selected gets injured and Daccord was to get a passport between now and the start of the tournament, he could be selected. Also, since this is not a double IHF tournament, he apparently, even if he was to play for Canada now, it would not interfere with his ability to play for another team internationally, like the U.S. or the Swiss, somewhere down the road at an official international tournament. By the way, people have been asking about injuries, Ron. Players who get hurt can be replaced up to and including the 12th of February, the first day of the tournament, after those announcements are made this week.
That's good, Elliotte, because when I hear you say if and I start to worry. Listen, the New York Rangers are worried. They eked out a 4-3 win with a late goal on a power play today, but they didn't look good again. Montreal did in the third period. 5 losses in a row prior. And talk about guys on the block. What's going on there?
Yeah, so a crazy week for the Rangers ever since last Saturday night, 7 days ago. They lost in Edmonton. They sent out a note this week saying that Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba could be available if teams were interested to contact the Rangers. And it got out, and the public fallout was massive. And, you know, people have heard Trouba's name before. They hadn't heard Kreider's name before. And I think in the aftermath of that, what teams were trying to figure out was, what are the Rangers really willing to do? Are there other players who could be available? And since Trouba and Kreider have partial no-trade clauses, where would they really be willing to go? And I think also in the middle of all this, the blowback was so crazy and the results this week so poor until today. I think even New York wanted to tone down the heat and just pause before they jumped into anything really too intense or that they might later regret. So things kind of cooled down a bit. I think the interesting thing here is that the Rangers did not give anyone permission to speak to Trouba or Kreider. They want to keep control of the process, and that's critical because earlier this week, the NHL sent out a memo. Now, you'll remember at the GM meetings, they warned teams about tampering. They didn't like how July 1st went last year with a bunch of signings announced right after noon, and also they warned about not only players, but teams' employees like coaches and managers, other people who worked in the front office. And they said they reminded everybody, these are the potential tampering penalties if you are caught for teams or individuals. So they are trying to tell people, if you get caught, we are going to punish you.
Vancouver Canucks at Detroit tomorrow afternoon. Elliotte, Filip Hronek's old team, what's his status in Vancouver?
So they are still waiting to determine exactly what his situation is going to be. He's going to be out a while, but again, we don't have a specific timeline on it as of yet. You know, one of the things, Ron, is that Vancouver's down defensemen. They've also struggled a bit defensively. They're out there. They have one of the most aggressive front offices in the league. Everybody knows it. Jim Rutherford, Patrick Allvin, they're not afraid to do anything, but they have made it very clear we're not going to do something just because other people think we're desperate. So I think there's some teams out there really looking. I think Nashville's one of those teams. I think Ottawa's been careful just seeing what's out there, but I don't get the sense they're jumping headfirst into anything yet. But the Canucks have indicated, yes, we're looking, but we're not going to do anything because people think we're desperate.
Last note.
Oh, yes, David Jiricek got traded today. Thank you, Ron, for reminding me. One defenseman did move. Jiricek from Columbus to the Wild with a 5th-round pick for 4 picks and Damon Hunt, who Dean Evison knows. The 1st-round pick is conditional if Minnesota finishes in the top 5 in the bottom 5 this year, which is unlikely. The pick gets transferred to next year.